Coming up, Governor Abbott is doubling down on his plans to stop crime. But could it be doing more harm than good? And is Ken Paxton violating Dan Patrick's gag order? Plus, I'll have the latest on a fiery truck wreck on Highway 75. It's 1 o'clock, the NewsFeed starts now. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jason Holly. The first thing most people think of when they think theater are the amazing actors on stage. But forget about the props and set pieces. We get a chance to peel back the curtain at our very own theater department.
We're trying to prep for Crimes of the Heart, which is our first show of the season, and it'll be a co-pro with Northwest Campus. We start, as we're doing now, sketching everything out and sort of figuring out where we want everything and how proportionately it goes on stage. After that, we'll start putting pieces together.
I started out as a general contractor, but decided a career change, so I came back to TCC to earn a different degree in a different field. While here, I decided to do work study back in the theater here in TCC's Northeast Playhouse. I fit right in as a theater carpenter. Turns out there's a lot of crossover between the two. But not only that, I've learned so much more when it comes to lighting, when it comes to audio, everything back here running the back end, the fly rail to the stage management. There's just so much back here to learn that there's a whole world I never even knew existed until now. There are plans, there are things that have to be done a certain way, but there are times where I get to kind of express myself and be free with some of the design, some of the work, and as I learn new techniques, it allows me to be more versatile and being able to create new stuff.
Summer's a great time to do the nitty-gritty work. Last summer we did prep for Doubt, and we built a fantastic scoreboard that was an antique scoreboard and looked like metal, and it was a good chance for my shop foreman to learn how to do that process. So it's learning along with planning.
When the play is done, set's ready to be taken down, and we try to reclaim all of the materials that we can. Some of it does get thrown away, which is why we call it disposable art. We put a lot of work into it, but sometimes we have to make the decision that we don't have 1 million square foot of storage space to keep everything we build. My work study back here has been quite an eye-opening experience. I never knew that theater was more than just acting.
Around 5:30 yesterday morning, traffic on 75 northbound was brought to a halt after a tanker truck lost control and slid along the road until it caught fire. The truck hit three other vehicles in the process, sending 2 people to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Due to the fuel in the tanker, crews were forced to let the fire burn out, which caused massive delays. What caused the crash is still unknown. Plano PD is asking for anyone who saw the crash to contact them immediately. Governor Abbott is standing by the decision to have the state troopers police some city streets, but the move is drawing criticism. Michael Atkinson reports.
It's been weeks since Austin disbanded its controversial partnership with the Department of Public Safety, but it's not far from mind. After a Saturday night street takeover in North Austin, Austin police reportedly called on DPS for assistance, which Governor Greg Abbott took in stride. Writing on social media, the city of Austin may have tried to eliminate DPS from Austin, but I have not. Going on to say DPS will be deployed as needed to every city, including Austin, to do everything possible to maintain safety.
I would prefer to have Austin police officers who have experience with our community, have relationships, understand our community, be the ones to patrol, but we don't have that option. We don't have that luxury anymore.
In the fallout of the APD-DPS partnership, Governor Abbott ordered more DPS troopers to Austin, and he seemed to indicate in his social media post that he made the right call.
Any example where the governor can show the state acting competently, but importantly, where cities appear to be falling down on the job, provides a political win for the governor.
But those remarks come just over a month away from the controversial Death Star bill from taking effect. That policy would essentially supersede local control in favor of state policy. Between that and Governor Abbott's remark that he would send DPS to any city, much as he did with Austin, to maintain city safety, could point to a trend of less local and more state control.
I think if the governor sees a political advantage in deploying DPS to other Texas cities, we should expect to see DPS deployed, whether or not those cities are requesting DPS presence.
This was the scene at an H-E-B in Houston after a conflict between two men escalated in gunfire inside the store. One of the shooting suspects has since turned himself in. Harris County Sheriff's deputies are still working to track down the other person for questioning. No one was injured during the incident, and the suspect's identity has not yet been released. It is unclear what led to the shooting.
I think it's twofold. First of all, it shows the lies A.J. Armstrong was telling his parents in the months leading up to these murders. But the more important thing is how much his family, in responding to him via text message, had faith in this alarm system in challenging his statements that he didn't leave the house at night. I think that's a critical fact that we all know has been central to these trials as we've gone on.
That was legal analyst Carmen Rowe reacting to day 2 of A.J. Armstrong's third murder trial. Jurors have already heard opening statements and testimonies from police who responded on the night when Armstrong's parents were found dead in 2016. Monday's trial was supposed to take place in June, but the judge delayed the trial after prosecutors say new blood spatter belonging to Armstrong's father was discovered behind a sticker label on Armstrong's shirt. If convicted, he would face a life sentence with parole eligibility after 40 years. Coming up in national news, we'll bring you the latest on former President Donald Trump's recent indictment and explain what a credit downgrade means for you. That and more, it's next.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school, because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September. I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Worried about your friend but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR. It's all good if you think you should check in. Yeah, you should.
Whatever gets you talking. Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Whatever gets you talking. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
The grand jury has indicted former President Donald Trump in the special counsel investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election, leading up to the January 6th Capitol riot. Chris Nguyen is in Washington with the latest.
More problems for Donald Trump. A grand jury indicting the former president on 4 counts, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and to obstruct an official proceeding in the special counsel investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election leading up to the January 6th Capitol riot.
We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. We're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country.
The former president lashing out on Truth Social, claiming special counsel Jack Smith is interfering with the 2024 presidential election.
This is harassment. This is election interference.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, 2021 was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies.
For months, special prosecutors brought witnesses in front of a grand jury, several of whom appeared under subpoena, ranging from low-level aides to former Vice President Mike Pence as they built their case.
In this case, My office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens. In the meantime, I must emphasize that the indictment is only an allegation and that the defendant must be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
The Biden administration is launching a website for its new student loan repayment plan. The new approach comes weeks after the Supreme Court rejected the president's effort to wipe out student debt for millions of borrowers. Students can access the website now during this trial period and apply for the new program. The website will be fully functional next month. The new approach comes as student loan payments are set to resume in October after a long pause because of the pandemic. A steady deterioration in standards of governance. That's what Fitch Ratings is citing as the leading catalyst for downgrading America's credit rating. For market watchers, the decision is unsettling and controversial. But what does that mean for you? Mike Valerio breaks it all down.
Historically, the U.S. has always been able to pay its bills.
The U.S. has been among the safest credit risks in the world.
But credit rating agency Fitch is worried the nation's political climate could make it a riskier bet, subsequently downgrading the U.S. debt rating from AAA to AA+ on Tuesday. The U.S. has only endured a downgrade once before, back in 2011, when a debt ceiling standoff similar to the one from earlier this summer brought the country to the brink of default. But Fitch believes political polarization and uncertainty is on the rise and eroding confidence.
What's going to happen with Social Security? What's going to happen with Medicare? What's going to happen with the national debt? There are also some purely economic angles, like the recession that everybody's been talking about for a couple of years that hasn't arrived yet.
But that recession may never come. Bank of America abandoning its recession forecast Wednesday as attitudes are brightening amid a strong jobs market and cooling inflation.
All of a sudden, a lot of people are saying, maybe the Fed can pull this off and bring inflation down without causing a recession.
While the move by Fitch could lead to a tightening of credit, Bankrate's Ted Rossman says it's unlikely consumers will feel the pinch.
There are some things people are worried about, but I don't think this downgrade, at least in the near term, affects everyday people in a significant way.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
On Monday, attorneys for suspended Attorney General Ken Paxton asked for the dismissal of 19 of 20 articles of impeachment against him. Paxton continues to deny any wrongdoing and is also fundraising off of his upcoming trial, characterizing the event in a way that appears to violate Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's gag order. In a fundraising email, Paxton is asking for contributions while framing the trial as illegal. Paxton's attorney says Paxton is, quote, in full compliance with all orders from the Senate, end quote. Dan Patrick's office has yet to respond. Coming up in 2 minutes, Austin will have the weekend forecast, plus, could we see a 3D map of the sky? Keep it here. We'll be right back.
I am so glad you ladies are here. You each have your own rooms.
Thank you.
Is it okay to call you Mom?
Of course you can.
Need a ride? Yeah!
Driving with kids is a big responsibility.
Hop in and buckle up!
So don't sweat the small stuff.
You got paint all over our paper!
Get the big stuff right instead.
What does that mean?
Like making sure your kids are in the correct car seat and buckled up for safer travel.
That deserves a wiggly wiggly wig.
To make sure your child is in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Beep, beep. Yeah!
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Welcome back to the newsfeed. Currently at TCC, it's 100 degrees with an excessive heat warning. Our high is going to be 107 degrees today, but with that heat index, it'll feel more like 112. All right, we know how this goes. We're focusing on hydration, limiting outdoor activity, and really taking care to stay cool in these hotter temperatures. This weekend, not much different. I'm not sure if a temperature turkey is a thing, but I'm just going to call it. Tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, we're looking at a high of 106 degrees each day. Abundant sunshine, as you can see, and overnight lows down in the low 80s. So not a lot of relief there, but certainly lots of sunshine, and we're feeling that summer heat. Next week, not much different. We'll start out at 104 for Monday. A couple clouds coming in on Tuesday may drop the temperature down a little bit, so our overnight lows may dip down below 80 degrees. Then back up to 103 and 104 as our highs for later in the week. And as we've been seeing, depending on what part of the Metroplex you are in, those temperatures may actually be a little bit higher. We've been seeing temperatures 106, 107 degrees, so don't be surprised. Again, the end of the week, we're going to dip back or creep back up to 80 degrees for our overnight lows. This is the Summer in Texas playbook. We just need to pull it out. We're staying hydrated, making sure that we're taking extra care to monitor our kids and our pets, and limiting time out of doors. Certainly we want to stay fit, but let's get creative and find what other things we can do to enjoy the inside and stay cool.
Thanks, Austin. The heat is not going away. Right now, more than 50 million people are under heat alerts across 10 states,
as the
including
York
Arizona,
wildfire
where record-breaking
rages.
temperatures have proven deadly to both people and pollinators. This, as a raging wildfire threatens the landscape of a popular tourist destination. Patrick Cornell has the latest.
As the York wildfire rages on the California-Nevada border, the acres of earth scorched by the inferno is growing.
We're probably going to lose hundreds of thousands of Joshua trees. It will take a lifetime to get those mature, big Joshua tree forests back.
In Texas, the fast-moving flames of the Powder Keg pine fire forcing people from their homes.
Well, every summer when it gets dry like this, it's just a matter of time before the fires start, and it's
going to happen, and just as quick as they get on it, they can control it.
Yeah.
They do an outstanding job.
Yeah, they got really good, real good resources out this time.
On top of battling blazes, extreme heat buckling pavement in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and rewriting the record books in multiple places across Texas on Tuesday. The heat has killed at least 7 people in the Houston area since June. Blistering temperatures aren't just proving deadly to humans, they're also killing honeybees with a historic heat wave melting hives in Arizona.
So it collapses, and oftentimes the queen can be crushed. And if that happens, then there's no other bee there that can replace her. There's no other bees that can lay eggs, so the colony would just die.
I'm Patrick Cornell reporting.
In China, at least 21 people have been killed from rain and flooding after Typhoon Doksuri. Beijing continues to dig out from the mud and damage. State media reports that evacuation orders were given to more than 127,000 people. The threat from storms isn't over yet. Anna Corinne has more.
The death toll from former super typhoon Doksuri continues to rise across China. 21 people now dead, according to authorities. 12 of those were in Beijing, with another dozen still missing. The storm has dumped the heaviest rainfall over the capital ever recorded in 140 years. Heavy rains began pummeling Beijing and surrounding areas last Saturday, with the average rainfall for the month of July falling on the capital in just 40 hours. Severe flooding washed away cars, damaged buildings and roads, with many residents needing to be evacuated. In neighbouring Hebei province, over 800,000 people were evacuated. Authorities say 9 people were killed, 6 are still missing. Chinese leader Xi Jinping called for every effort to rescue those lost or trapped by the rain. State media reports that maximum rainfall was recorded in 10 weather stations in Hebei province, also breaking historical records. The local meteorological service says rainfall in Beijing and Hebei is expected to ease today, while the storm moves towards northeastern China. As we know, China has been experiencing extreme weather and posting record temperatures this summer, which scientists believe has been exacerbated by climate change. Another typhoon is now heading towards China. Typhoon Kanun, the sixth storm this year, is powerful and slow-moving. Currently, it's lashing Japan, although authorities say it's weakened slightly. It's reached winds of 185 kilometres an hour, that's 115 miles per hour, the equivalent of a Category 3 Atlantic hurricane. So far, one person has died. Kanun has knocked out power to 1/3 of homes in Okinawa. Phone and internet connections have been disrupted. The airport in Okinawa's capital has been closed for a second day. Okinawa is home to the bulk of US forces based in Japan. This typhoon is expected to move towards China and Taiwan later this week. Anna Corin, CNN, Hong Kong.
Houston authorities are looking for a man who escaped deputies' custody on Monday. Harris County Sheriff's Office says Brayton Finley was arrested for felony violation of a protective order / retaliation. But they say Finley got out of his handcuffs at a substation and escaped into the woods. According to Harris County deputies, he was not armed and they do not think he was a threat to the public. NASA says it has detected what is called a heartbeat from the Voyager 2 after losing contact with the spacecraft, which has been operating for nearly 46 years. Voyager's project manager says the signal they detected shows Voyager 2 is alive and operating. Commands sent to it last month accidentally caused its antenna to point 2 degrees from Earth, which means it can't get any commands from Mission Control or send back any data from Earth or back any data to Earth from its locations more than 12.3 billion miles away. Using an international array of massive radio antennas, NASA was able to detect the spacecraft's carrier signal. Now the mission team will attempt to send a signal back to Voyager 2. And sticking with the cosmic theme, take a look at this first image from the Euclid Space Telescope, taken from about 1 million miles above Earth. These are preliminary test shots showing a few galaxies, but scientists at the European Space Agency have big plans for the spacecraft. They hope to create the largest 3D map of the sky, revealing more about the unknown parts of the universe. The Euclid project manager says these initial images suggest the telescope could exceed expectations. Coming up, the Cowboys are still at Oxnard, and the Rangers make a big move. Timeline Sports, it's next.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
Okay.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Out in Oxnard, week 1 of training camp is in the books. The Cowboys got their first look at the new Texas Coast offense, which is designed for more running plays and less pressure when throwing the ball. Earlier this week, Dak Prescott has yet to show that he can cut down the interceptions as he was picked off 3 times in practice, one of those by newly paid corner Trevon Diggs. As Dak celebrates his birthday this week, owner Jerry Jones was asked about Dak's age compared to previous Cowboys Super Bowl winning quarterbacks to say, quote, I'm confident in Dak Prescott and the team. We have to do it, end quote. Dak's biggest weapon this year is receiver CeeDee Lamb, who is coming off of a 107-catch season. This year, he's looking for more.
It's a lot more simpler. You know, all the offense is in Dak's hands now. It's not necessarily, being called from Mike or Kel since last year, but now it's all on Dak. Like, however he's feeling versus the coverage, if he like the matchup, we're going to call that play. If he likes whatever he likes versus zone, he's going to call that play. So technically it's all in Dak's hands. And, yeah, and we're moving much faster at a different pace. And just the ability to go out there and play freely is, I mean, you can see it as fun.
The boys have one more week of practice before their first preseason game against Jacksonville. Baseball's trade deadline has come and gone, and the Rangers didn't just make a splash, they cleared the entire pool. The Rangers traded for Cy Young pitcher Max Scherzer from the Mets to shore up their rotation. The best part of the trade is the Mets will pay the entirety of his contract this year. He's coming in at the right time too, as the Rangers struggled ending the month of July. The Rangers also welcomed back Corey Seager last night from injury, which he homered in his first at-bat last night versus the White Sox. The Rangers have taken 2 of the first 3 games of this series, and Game 3 is about to start as we speak. Mark your calendars. The Astros come to town for the final time this year, September 2nd. The U.S. women's national team has advanced past the group stage into the knockout round of the Women's World Cup, but it didn't come without any struggle, as they were fortunate to walk away with the draws against Netherlands and Portugal. With the knockout round being do or die, let's hope they get it changed around, as the women will take kickoff Sunday versus Sweden. Kickoff Sunday, 4 o'clock. This kid you see in the video is my nephew Isaiah Harris. Isaiah placed in the top 20 in the nation in the high jump at last week's USA Track and Field Junior Olympics in Oregon. He should be proud of his accomplishments, because we definitely are. That right there, he's one cool kid. And that's your Timeline Sports.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here.
Wait.
What?
I can't drive.
Why?
My.
Oh.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
$1.25 billion is up for grabs in tomorrow's Mega Millions drawing. No one matched all 5 numbers plus the Mega Ball in Tuesday night's drawing. The winning numbers were 8, 24, 30, 45, 61, and the Mega Ball was 12. Again, the next drawing is tomorrow. The jackpot has been rolling since it was last won back on April 18th. Remember, you got to play to win, so good luck. No bad karma for Taylor Swift. People magazine reports the pop star has given more than $55 million to her Eras Tour crew. That includes the dancers, riggers, sound technicians, and caterers. The Grammy winner has been on tour since March. Each concert includes 44 songs that span her entire career. Later this month, Swift takes her Eras Tour to Latin America, and then she heads across the pond to Europe, Asia, and Australia in 2024. A Virginia police officer has a new crime-fighting buddy, but this one has fur and 4 legs. Officer Timothy Rugg got a call to help a kitten that had been thrown from a vehicle and had been instantly bonded with the animal. Chelsea Church has the story.
She was hiding under a couch. I reached under and got her, and she immediately crawled onto my shoulder and perched onto it like a parrot and started purring.
And when he got to the SPCA to drop the kitten off, Officer Ruggs says he just couldn't let her go.
I just felt like she wanted to be with me, and I mean, before that, I never saw myself owning a cat. I thought I was a dog person, but we just kind of bonded immediately, and I just knew I had to take her with me.
Since then, Penny has settled in nicely to her new home.
She was super scared when I got her, but now she's just super active, and I'm having to rearrange my entire apartment just to make it safe for curious Penny.
And while Officer Rugg has helped Penny find a safe and loving home, he says she has helped him out a lot too.
She's definitely making my days better and helping me relax, and yeah, she's great.